Call me crazy, call me nuts, call me bonkers, but I don't think people are as insecure as they are just overstimulated. I don't think we're meant to encounter this many versions of beauty every single day. Before you've even had your breakfast, you've already seen a new face, a new body, a new aesthetic, a new it girl, a new routine, and a new insecurity. After a while, it becomes hard to tell if this is self-expression or if this is self-surveillance. And I don't know if you felt it, but I definitely feel like I felt it. Beauty doesn't feel like beauty anymore. Because lately, and I hate to even use the word performative because the word performative has become performative. It feels performative. It feels like a performance to abide by such beauty standards and lean into beauty trends, which is why I don't think you're ugly. I just think me and you, we're both chronically online. Why is it that beauty has to be optimized? Why is it that beauty has to be social currency? These are very important questions, and I think we should chat about it. Bringing back substance, depth, and character to why we love, share, and buy products. As someone who loves all things beauty, wellness, thrift, and vintage fashion, and most importantly, culturally rich experiences, I was craving something that felt like the cross between a Substack article and a traditional YouTube video. So I created it. Welcome back to the M.A.C. Edit. My name is M.A.C, and I'm sharing the meaning and character behind some of our favorite purchases and experiences. We already talked about how we got to this place about the internet having such influence, but we didn't talk enough about how the internet accelerates aesthetics so quickly. So quickly, in fact, that people stop asking themselves, do I actually like this? People are altering their bodies because they haven't even stopped to think if they want it for themselves. And really, I think the question we've fallen into is this going to perform best online, or how is this going to look online, instead of does it fit into your real life? But then you build up this real tension between what you feel like you should be doing based on what you've seen online, what people are doing, what's trending, what's hot, what's popping right now, or what actually resonates in your life, in your beauty routines, in your wellness routine, how you move your body, how you eat, sleep, your morals, all of the things get influenced, and you haven't even stopped to check in, does this fit into what I really like, what I really believe, and how I really want to live my life, period. Something that is deeply unsettling to me, that makes me sick to my stomach when I think about it, keeps me up at night, is how we don't even stop and think about how the trends and the connections between what it took to get to these places, beauty standards, and where they actually come from. Full lips, for example, weren't always aspirational. Shocker, I know. And this is where a recent as well as a past history lesson comes into play. Full lips were actually weaponized against people who naturally have this feature. It was blatantly exploited in caricature, Jim Crow era cartoon, racist ideology, menstrual imagery. And all of these mediums were used to be an exaggeration, a mockery, a dehumanization of Black people. It was meant to flatten our identity. And yes, it really is that deep, especially when you take into account that so many people like myself were bullied for having full lips, were bullied for having certain features growing up, and then to see it all come around full circle is crazy, that people pay for the things that they used to bully you about. Let's just stop and think about that. Often there's a hidden cost to the trends that we're participating in. And this is no shade, no tea. If you have lip filler, if that's your thing, boop to the bop. Okay, I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money or what to do with your body, with your face, with, what you got going on. If you like it, I love it. Again, the rules are we're not harming anyone, but I think it's so important to have the conversation and to realize, hey, there is nuance, there is history, and there is intellectual criticism that is warranted here. And it's funny because some of these very features that people are going after today, whether that be lips, nose, body shape, these were things that were used to characterize as other, unrefined, not classy. And now those very same features are being filtered into desirability through monetization, aesthetics, beauty standards, you name it, okay? And it's crazy to witness, especially in my short, young, fresh lifetime. So I can only imagine when people older than me who have lived to see different trends, come and go, and only feel about some of the things that they see. So that shift is not really as neutral as I think we like to romanticize it to be. And it tells you something how beauty moves through culture. The cultural standard setters are often criticized first for having those things, doing those things, and using the things, and then it becomes popularized. Now we live in a world where people pay thousands of dollars to replicate features that you may already have. So you're not ugly, you're just chronically online. No shade, no tea. This contradiction, it sometimes stays with you, it sometimes creeps up on you. Because I'm not gonna lie, the truth of the matter is, features often become desirable after they've been detached and removed from the human people who they actually centered and came from. So now that we no longer have to acknowledge the discrimination and the transgressions that it took to get there, it becomes much more palatable to say, yeah, girl, let's just go And that's just the historical context for real. This isn't a what you should or shouldn't do. This isn't a how-to kind of video. But I do want you to know that beauty can be less about correction and more about expression. Not fixing anything, because you're not something that has to be fixed, but expressing what's already inside of you. Because something that you could find as insecure about yourself, which we all do. I'm not sitting here like I don't have things that I'm like, I wake up in the morning like, hello, what's happening here? Those are the very same things that someone finds beautiful in you. As cheesy as it sounds, like my lip combo, she enhances the natural features that I already have, and she's affordable. Wait, let me show you. Let me put you on. If you know, you know, and if you don't, now you know. This is one of the best affordable lip combos, especially if you have a skin tone similar to mine, and my natural lip tone is very much the same shade as my face. So this is tea. So the first is this L'Oreal Infallible matte liquid lipstick that I actually use as lip liner. That's a hack. They actually don't make this anymore, so there's a Maybelline one that I'll plug for you, because using a liquid lipstick, an affordable liquid lipstick, lasts so much longer than some of the expensive lip liners that you've seen. And you can get that nice blended feathered look if you don't love a harsh line around your lip liner. Like, gives it more Bratz doll kind of vibe. Of course, a black owned brand. This is Mented Semi-Matte Lipstick in Mented number 5. It's a perfect coolish nudie pinky tone that is in the center of my lips, and finishing it off with our lovely affordable e.l.f. Glow Reviver lip oil. I think this is in the shade, Honey Talks. Honey Talks, Honey Talks, Honey Talks. So if you need an affordable lip combo, don't say I didn't put you on to enhance your natural features. This one actually got me. This one got me good. This glass skin beauty trend didn't just come from an obsession with like looking glossy and having clear skin. It came from a layered approach of skincare that became westernized. And this was a philosophy that's been used in Korean beauty and skincare for probably centuries, where it focuses on having hydrated, healthy, and consistent skincare routines. But somewhere online, yet again, it turned into hydrated and healthy to poreless, flat skin. Perfect. And this really almost took me out, because during the peak of the glass skin era, and we still might be in it, who knows, I don't care, I was actually dealing with one of the worst breakouts in my life. This was like peak acne for me. And while it may not look like it now, and of course I do have makeup on, I have struggled with my skin for years, ever since probably 12, 13 years old, and then on. I thought I was going to grow out of it. I thought it was just going to be a phase. I thought it was because of, sweating and athletics. No, girl, the acne prone skin, that is me. And this glass skin trend, if you will, really me up, because instead of helping my skin, I started overloading it with products, which was basically just trying to chase the internet version of fixing my skin. And instead of dealing with the root cause that the acne was trying to show me, I just had more irritation and more frustration. Okay, I was crashing out over my skin, deadass. So my skin became something that I was constantly working on. Every day I felt like it was a race to get the best skin that I could have, whether that be for some milestone like coming up where I knew I had to take pictures, this is that and the third, rather than actually addressing and trying to go and find out what the root cause of the issue was, because your body keeps score. It tells you what it needs to tell you, and slapping more products on it just for the sake of a trend is not always the answer. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's cute, it's fun, but sometimes you could be actually masking things that you deep down need to address. When I really slowed it down and peeled back the layers, okay, when I really got to the core of the issue, then I realized that I was just doing too much. I was doing too much. I was doing the most. I was doing the absolute mother freaking most. And that's the crazy thing, is sometimes you can get caught in these hamster wheels of beauty standards and beauty trends and realize you're doing more harm than good. And sometimes irreversible damage. And some of us young hoes, because we're young, wild, and free, we're like, oh, whatever, I'll deal with it then. But then, dang, once you have things that you really can't take back on your face, on your body, whatever it is that you've done, you can't walk it back, baby girl. You can't walk it back. So you see here, I'm going to show you my skincare routine right now. This is basically it. I may have one or two other things that pop its way into my skincare, but these are the mainstays. If you have oily, acne-prone skin, some of these products may work for you. Again, you have to do what works for you and test that out, but don't go crazy. Don't get crazy just because I shared this, okay? Some of these are affordable, some of these are definitely on the pricier side. But again, having acne, I know that not always the most inexpensive product is going to be the best for you. You really need some quality ingredients to deal with your skin. It's an organism on your body. But then also some things really aren't that deep and you can just do something a little bit more inexpensive because the quality is there. So after I cleanse my face, starting off with the Tower 28 SOS spray, I wish this was something that existed when I was a teenager because I probably would have far less breakouts in the middle of my forehead with like the little mini nasty bumps just from being nasty, sweaty, and just a funky little girl. This probably would have ate down back then, okay? This probably would have saved me popping a lot of things on my forehead and just around my face because at that point it was a lot of bacteria, it was a lot of disgustingness touching my face and doing whatever little high school girls are doing with their faces. Because the high school girlies now on TikTok having a 20-step skincare routine, I did not have that. I just had pain and suffering. But this would have probably cured that issue for me. Tower 28 SOS spray, if you're a workout girly, if you need to get the bacteria off your face, she is that girl. There's also an Amazon affordable option as well. We love affordable. This is probably the newest introduction into my skincare after I tried it with a sample packet first. Okay, you got to test and approve, test and approve, test and approve. Don't go buy out the full size products if you don't know what works for you yet. But this is the Aesop Resolute Facial Concentrate. This is a retinol serum. I use this 2 to 3 times a week. Pero like she's a little expensive. She's a lot expensive. So just a little dime size amount goes a long way. But this is an example of when you invest in products that actually work for you, you don't spend a bunch of money on a lot of things that aren't working. And then at nighttime or the days when I'm not using retinol, I use this vitamin C serum. This is the Naturium Vitamin C Super Serum Plus. I love her. She is very affordable. And I love all of their serums, honestly, but this is the one that I feel like has stuck around in my routine the most because that retinol does the trick for some of the other things I was using for them. So this usually during the day or at night in between the retinol nights. And if you didn't know, I hope you know, you should not be using vitamin C and retinol together, okay? They like cancel out each other. I'm not a chemist, I'm not a scientist, but go check with your dermatologist, okay? Go to the doctor, go check with a professional, but they don't react well on your skin. So you may be, again, doing things that aren't even working just because you're slapping a bunch of things and just hoping it works. La Roche-Posay has started to steal my heart as far as drugstore affordable moisturizer as well as sunscreen. Okay, this is another moisturizer I wish existed for years and years and years again before I knew what I knew now about oily skin. This is the La Roche-Posay Double Repair Matte Moisturizer for oily and combination skin. This is tea. This is literally the best for oily skin, okay? You used to be able to slide the makeup and slide the oil right off my skin by the end of the day and fry an entire chicken with it because that's how mother freaking oily I was. But this, she fights the good fight. So if you're an oily skin girly, check her out. And then the La Roche-Posay Clear Skin Sunscreen 60 SPF. A little goes a long way with her. She can leave a white cast if you do too much, but if you layer it properly, you put it on there properly, you won't have a white cast and it lays really well under makeup. And she's 60 SPF. The other ones I feel like in your moisturizers and just facial ones are like 35, 40. No, girl, put that SPF on, especially too if you have dark spots. Put that SPF on. That's a non-negotiable. That you need to be influenced to do is put some SPF on. I say all of that to say I was able to rebuild trust in my skin and in myself once I stopped treating my skin like the trend cycles and started doing what I needed to do. Wellness. You're probably not ready for this one. I think we need to chat about this. I think we need to. When health became aesthetic, that's when we really messed up. And don't get me wrong, I think social media gets a bad rep, especially in the wellness space, because it is hyper vigilant about selling you a wellness trend and aesthetic. But this is not something new. We know this started decades earlier, 90s heroin chic, 2000s video vixen, thin culture, Weight Watchers, My 600 Pound Life, clean eating obsessions, fitness as aesthetics instead of performance. Meanwhile, it really used to be about rehabilitation, performance, functionality, and community-based movement. You can especially see this shift in westernized societies where we have so many more physical gyms built up rather than community spaces and open spaces. Because don't get me wrong, I love a little curated routine. I love my Pilates class. I love the gym. I love all of it deep down to my core. But I also recognize this is not the end all be all of wellness and fitness. Let's take Pilates, for example. As someone who has been deep into practicing Pilates well before the Pilates princess aesthetic, Pilates actually started way earlier and way more functional than how we see it online today. You may have heard that it was started by Joseph Pilates, and he was a German personal trainer. And it was originally called controlology because it was based around this whole idea of controlled movement. And if you've ever taken a Pilates class or been on a reformer, mat, whatever variation, you understand at the core, controlling your mind-body connection and your muscles is central to the practice. And so Joseph Pilates really wanted to tap into rehabilitation meets strength training. Early versions of this method, injured soldiers recover. And then later versions, it was actually reported that he would attach springs and things to the hospital beds, almost like how you would see on a reformer Pilates now. And that's where the early DNA of that method comes from, especially for patients who are bedbound and need to practice exercises laying down. Now you see why in your Pilates class, when you start laying down and you warm up your core and warm up these different methods using the different springs and attachments on your Pilates reformer machine, that's where it comes from. And then after the war, he ended up moving to New York, funny enough, and opened up a Pilates studio. And this is where things really started to spread, especially through dancers. Choreographers, dancers, ballerinas, all in the New York scene were very much tuned into Pilates before it became like a mainstream physical activity, because it was used for recovery and especially important to the movements that they do in their dance. So this way they could really hyper focus on injury prevention, recovery, alignment, and strength. And for a long time, Pilates was very, very niche, like very, very, very niche. And now it's mainstream. You can't go a couple of blocks, especially in any major city, without seeing a Pilates studio. And the shift in what we see now as Pilates really started in the 90s and early 2000s when celebrities got a hold of it and made it more mainstream. And this is where, again, that celebrity culture comes in, where it normalizes it not just being for rehab and for strength, but actually for toning physique and slimming down. And once boutique fitness studios started to scale this and started to really brand Pilates, all bets are off. All bets are off. It was all fair game. So between that and social media making it aesthetic, it was like a perfect match made in heaven for it to be the newest trend. So what started as rooted in recovery, rehabilitation, over time got rebranded into a lifestyle and wellness aesthetic. Guilty as charged, but recognizing that it still has real physical benefits, but just understanding more of the origins of where it came from and the cultural identity that's tied to it. Trust me, I grew up as an athlete, so my body was constantly being evaluated not only just for performance, but for aesthetics. So definitely was not immune to any commentary. At one point, I was too skinny, made fun of for having a thigh gap. And later, as my body naturally changed in my late 20s, I was questioned again. Different phase of life, same body, same scrutiny. And what I realized through that is that people become attached to versions of you that you may have outgrown, physically and mentally, even when you've moved on, but they haven't. Especially for women. Especially for women. For the girls, okay? I'm for the girls. Especially for us. There's this expectation that your body should remain physically consistent somehow, some way, okay? Despite all the things that our body goes through, depending on what your journey is. Hormone, stress, age, pregnancy, identity, priorities, boop to the bop, to the bop, to the bop. Somewhere along the line, wellness stopped being about feeling alive, feeling truly your best self. And feeling your best self also became a trend that just sold you some more stuff that you need to fix. But trust me, my love, your health is your wealth and your body absolutely keeps score. So move your body in ways that make you feel alive, that make you feel healthy, that excite you, that fit into your routine, that challenge you. Not just because it is the trend or it is the aesthetic, but because you genuinely like it. And if you try something, it doesn't work for you, cool. Like, being in your 20s and your early 30s, everyone seems to be doing a marathon. Everyone seems to be doing high rock. First it was CrossFit, then it was Pilates, then it was this, then it was that. Like, trust me, because I've done it all. And you can do it too. But what doesn't stick doesn't have to stay, but you do have to find the thing that's going to help you be healthy and take care of yourself. If you're new here, I'm an avid thrifter, okay? I thrift like my life depends on it. And that says a lot because thrifting is truly one of those things that went from survival to aesthetic. Thrifting originally existed out of necessity to be able to provide affordable clothes for people to go into a store and be able to get children their clothes for school, resources, reuse, reduce, recycle, conservation, and overall just working class access. Now we're at the late stage capitalism of it all where it turned into a hipster hipster vibe. It turned into counterculture, anti-consumerist fashion, individuality through constraint. Now thrifting has become this niche uniqueness that adds to someone's wardrobe, mine included. For me, it feels creative, it feels personal, it feels like a statement, it feels accessible, it feels tangible. I feel a real artist drawn way of going into a thrift store and finding pieces that I absolutely love and feel drawn to. We already talked about in the last Mac edit how it's a great way to express yourself. But I also think it's a great way to be a conscious consumer. And a conscious consumer is really just someone who pays attention to what they buy. It's not perfect, it's not hypercritical, don't have it figured all out, but it's very grounded in a real way. Something where you stop and think and say, I see what I'm buying, I know why I'm buying it, it has a purpose, it's in my life for some kind of reason. And not all of those reasons have to be super deep, but they at least do have a reason. And the key thing is you are a consumer, and that doesn't disappear. You're not outside of the system, unfortunately. You're moving through it just with a lot more education about it. And honestly, this can look really different depending on your life, whether that be financially, morally, locally, what your community needs, what you have in your community. Sometimes conscious consumption can just mean choosing secondhand over fast fashion. Sometimes it's about buying from a brand that you know has better practices. And sometimes it's just about not buying anything at all. Okay, there's things called boycotts. Duh. Hello, Target boycott. Hello, boycotts that have gone on for decades in protest. Or even just choosing not to buy anything at all, not out of a societal protest, but out of a personal one to not get caught up in the perpetual loop of consumption. And sometimes, to be for real, it's just about buying what's in your budget. All of that can coexist under the same umbrella. I don't want you to get stuck on thinking that conscious consumption has to have a certain look, or that you're going to get it all right every single time. No one is the moral police on the conscious consumption train, and that's absolutely not how life works, because no one can count your pockets and tell you what you should and should not buy, but you should be able to make that judgment for yourself, a well-informed one. And to keep it a band, no pun intended, most of us are just trying to balance our money, time, energy, where we go, who we spend our time with, who we spend our money on. We got to make a lot of decisions. When the funds are low and the debts are high, sometimes the conscious consumerism goes out the window, babe. I gotta get that Amazon package. So there's no version where everything is perfectly clean, perfectly ethical. Unfortunately. But I think if we play into the exact taglines of the trends that are being sold to us, this is where conscious consumption can just leave the room, because now you're being packaged in identity and you're buying into something that you may not have even wanted to in the first place. And you don't even have the chance to ask questions. You're just in autopilot. So be weary. And as we know, it wouldn't be a Mac edit without some thrift items, because the most meaningful pieces aren't always on trend. Taste over trend participation all day, every day. I thrifted this vintage Chanel tote. Not on trend, but I think she's going to do the job. I love her. I think she's going to be so useful. But what I love about it is because I did get her so inexpensive and on sale, I don't mind throwing this around and just, okay, hello. So yeah, she's not in perfect condition. She's not right out the store, but she's mine. And something I deeply love about thrifting that is especially conscious consumption is finding quality materials for a very low price. This is 100% cashmere purple tank that I got, and this was $25. And cashmere is one of those things like, wee, but it's very important, especially to have good quality materials that are going to last you a long time. This sweater probably would have cost me $50, $100, $150 for this tank top. But yes, it found it at a very accessible price point. And likewise with this linen wrap dress, perfect for summer, perfect breathable material. And I just love that I was able to find great quality materials at a very affordable price point. And while no, these aren't very trendy pieces, these are core staple pieces in my wardrobe that I can have for such a long time. So my love, I will leave you with this. Across all beauty, wellness, and style trends, the pattern is the same. The internet has just accelerated it so fast that we can't even emotionally process it. And a lot of us aren't even trying to be beautiful anymore. We're just trying to be palatable and legible for other people. And I don't want that for you, because you have too much meaning and character to let that take you under. I love you. Thank you for watching. See you on the next Mac edit. Bye.